Okay. All right. I think it's working now. Yay! All right. It's working now. Good Lord have mercy. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, great. Because I can see the little lights flashing around. All right, all right. Well, 7 minutes of dead air. Sorry about that, folks. Well, 6 minutes of dead air because I had a minute of the intro music, which I really didn't need today. Good God have mercy. Okay. Anyway, I'm going old school on an old school rant today. I'm bringing up some stuff from in the past. Let's get the most current issue off the plate right now. All right, let's go with Trump's trial. This Judge Meacham. Okay. All of a sudden, I started getting. Where am I getting this sound from? Oh, there. Okay, killed that. Okay, let's do the time warp again. Yeah. This Judge Meacham, the people ought to be having their heads exploded with this. Now, one of the issues that I'd heard several of the commentators, both television and internet, say was that the prosecution never really laid out a specific crime. One crime. And Judge Meacham just, it's like, they've thrown a bunch of bullshit up on the walls. And today, I'm sorry, guys, there's going to be a lot of language today, I'm afraid. Uh, the they threw a lot of garbage up on the walls. It's like throw spaghetti noodle up on the wall, see if it stick, and then if it does, it's done type crap, which I've never done. I've heard of people doing it, but I've never done it. All that tells me is how much starch has been cooked out of that piece of pasta. But anyway, the way that they could convict Trump here, the way that they've got this set up, is for the jury, for one person. Let's get over here. Let me get over here. Though all 34 counts were brought in connection to the same general set of allegations, each set of counts concerns a separate business record. These records include checks, check stubs, and entries in general ledger, both of which were used to reimburse Cohen for the $130,000. Some of the records were invoices the Trump organization kept. In theory, the jury could find that, say, Trump did falsify business records by cutting checks from the trust in his personal account, but he doesn't bear responsibility for the invoices from Cohen. In that scenario, the jury could convict Trump of some charges and acquit him on others. The 12 jurors would have to agree on the verdict for each of the counts. There are a number of ways the jury they could find Trump didn't make false business records or cause others to make them. They made them, but not with the intent to defraud. They made them with the intent to defraud, but not in the service of committing crime or covering up an underlying crime. The jury can't choose to convict Trump on the third option, though technically it's a misdemeanor crime in New York, because Trump's lawyers didn't request that the jury instructions include lesser included offenses, which would have allowed jury to weigh misdemeanors. A not guilty verdict would be final under the Constitution's bar of double jeopardy. The prosecutors could not appeal. All right, but this is the part that gets me. Okay, Oh, the directed verdict. That just absolutely not. I mean, I don't think the Democrats would cheer, but I don't think the country would stand for Meacham to do a directed verdict on this. But what I've seen some of these people talk about, and it seems to square up with what Meacham ordered, is that he could. Where is it? They've got this divided up in three different ways. And Meacham said that you got charge one, four people voting guilty on charge one would be a conviction. Then you got the same way charge two and charge three. So four people agreeing on one charge would be conviction, even though eight others disagreed with it. And this could go on any one of the three basic charges. Whereas, and I'm going to be honest, I mean, this must be my naivety poking through here. Because like I said the other day, that all it would take and a lot of other people, there's a lot of Democrats, especially the ones on The View, were talking about how it would only take one person who lied and actually be a Trump supporter and get on that jury, and that would make it a hung jury with no conviction. Well, what Meacham did here is set it up so that it would take 11 people to disagree with a conviction in order for Trump not to be convicted. Hey, Tyre, good morning. This whole thing, maybe something like this has been done somewhere else sometime, but I haven't found anybody else that has been able to figure out when or where. Now, we all know I'm just a dumbass old farmer boy who loves electronics and playing around with computers and getting out here and flapping my lips. But this makes absolutely no sense to me other than this being a damned rigged trial. We know that Meacham rigged this in the prosecution's favor every which way he could during the trial itself. But I didn't think that he would sit there and rig the frickin' jury at the end of it. I didn't know that he could turn around and rig this jury. I'm all for if Trump did something illegal, convict his ass. But I want any charges brought against Trump to be charges that they have brought against other people. New and novel ways of bringing charges against him just because he's Trump. And remember, these prosecutors ran on getting Trump. Judge Meacham's daughter is raising money and earning a living off of this trial and getting Trump. Judge Meacham donated money to a Stop Trump group. So there's nobody in this on the government side that's got clean hands when it comes to being unbiased. There's nobody. They're all politically biased against Trump. And in any reasonable world, once these facts came out, all these people would have, they want Alito, Supreme Court Justice, to recuse himself from anything having to do with Trump simply because he flew a flag or his wife flew a flag. There was a flag flown upside down at one of their houses. And to the Democrats, this is enough of a reason for Justice Alito to have to recuse himself from anything dealing with Trump. Yet we got a prosecutors who ran on getting Trump. We got a judge whose daughter is making money off this trial and raising donations to get Trump. And we got a judge who himself donated money to a group saying, stop Trump. And then he turns around and gives the most convoluted way of convicting Trump instructions to the jury. Now, we all know that this whole thing is a setup. It's a way to get Trump. We know that. It's a way to keep him off the campaign trail. Like when he went and had his campaign rally in the Bronx the other day, and all the Democrats were sitting there, AOC and The View and everyone else, laughing at him. He's not going to get anybody up there. He's going to, they're all going to be booing and throwing tomatoes and stuff at him. AOC, I'm going to throw a counter rally just down the street from him. And over 3,500 people showed up at the rally point itself. And if I remember correctly, they said there's another 5,000 or 6,000, maybe 8,000 outside of the rally point trying to listen to him because the rally spot was filled to capacity. And the only people that had a place to sit down were people in wheelchairs. And there's a great video out there, one of the women laughing at jokes being made that she's the only person with the place to sit because she's sitting in a wheelchair. And she offered up her lap to another woman, one of the women that was making the jokes. It was funny. The video itself was great. I love it. But these people, this trial, I was able to hold back on all of this throughout the entire trial here because I had faith in the jury system. I had faith in the jury itself, despite the fact that it's in New York. I had faith that out of the 12 people sitting there, there would be a few that would sit there and say, yeah, I don't like Trump, but the prosecutors did not prove their point. They brought in a man convicted of lying, not only during trials, but convicted of lying before Congress, and a man who lied 3 times in this trial. And that was one of their star witnesses. And I had faith that there'd be at least 1 or 2 people that would see through this nonsense. And would at least get a hung jury out of it. But this jury instructions is so convoluted that it can be considered nothing else but a way of rigging this trial against Trump. And another thing I've heard, and this is just heard, I take it with a grain of salt, that this Judge Meacham, the judges are supposed to be rotated through the different trials. You get a trial comes up and the next judge on duty gets it. And somehow or another, this same judge is also getting the Bannon trial, Steve Bannon. And somehow or another, this judge is getting involved in yet another trial involving some Republicans. And he's not even a full-time judge. Again, according to what I've seen, I have not had the time to do the in-depth study on it. And I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to stream today, guys. I want to be honest, because I'm seriously considering mixing some Jack Daniels in with my pain meds today. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stream, how long of a stream this is going to be. But anyway, guys, I've got no faith in this trial now. And I've lost so much faith, I don't even know because there's going to be appeals. No matter how this goes, the Trump attorneys are going to appeal short of an acquittal. You just left Eastport and the 24-foot tide is coming in. Ouch. That's not normal, is it, Duck Dog? Hey, Wiley, you're right. That is a lot of water. Oh, so that's normal for there. Okay. All right. See, down here, a 24-foot tide coming in would hurt a lot of people. But anyway, guys, and it's short of acquittal. Team is going to put out appeals. I'm surprised the appeals court hasn't already stepped in. And I'm surprised somebody hasn't already stepped in and slapped this judge around, but Well, duck dog, if that's what you're used to, that's what you're used to. I just know 40 foot would be devastating on the northwestern coast of Florida. Uh, I just think that's bad news all the way around here, though. But this trial is going to give now the Democrats what they want. Trump is a convicted felon, and they're going to play that. That is going to be their sole song all the way up to Election Day. How dare you vote for a convicted felon? And they're going to use that as a way to try to get him thrown off the Republican ballot. And like I said, with the Democrats trying to get Alito and oh God, uh, with them trying to get Alito and Clarence Thomas forced into recusing themselves from any trials. Retro, the best we can hope for is a hung trial, is a hung jury. You're right, Tyre. This is going to make this everything the Democrats have tried to do here to hurt Trump hasn't worked. There, even with people who don't like Trump, it's damn near a 50-50 split. Even with people who disagree with Trump, the polls are calling it a 50-50 split. So, they haven't succeeded in doing what they've wanted to do. It hasn't worked. But they're still not giving up. And I think they're playing now at this point the long game of hoping that by getting the conviction, since they can't get people they've already got everybody that's wanting to vote against him on their side. So now I think they're at the point where what they're trying to do is make it so that he gets thrown off the ballot. I think that's their goal now, is to get him thrown off the ballot. And that's going to be very difficult for him to do. I just burnt the crap out of my hand. So that's all the rant I got on this, guys, because now I'll just start repeating myself. I'm scared as what they're trying to do here. I'm scared as to what's going on. This is the Democrats doing what the Democrats have done in the past, just stepped up to Super Saiyan level. Come on up, Spankies. Cover you back up. It's like when they couldn't get some judges appointed or through the Senate. So what did Harry Reid do? Instead of it taking the supermajority, the 64 senators, he changed the rules and said it only takes 51. And the Republicans warned them, you'd make this change in the rules, and we'll take it and we'll use that change against you. But they were so desperate to get some of Obama's appointees through that Harry Reid made that change. So what happened when the Republicans took control of the Senate and they're having a little difficulty getting a Supreme Court justice through? They changed the rules from 64 to 51. And the Democrats howled. Guys, you changed the rules. If you'd left the rules alone, we would have left them alone. Like the Democrats howled about that George Stephanopoulos character out of New York. And he was under criminal investigation. He needs to be removed from the House, lose his position, because they knew any election would happen would put a Democrat in place. But right now, they've got at least one in the Senate under investigation. The idiot out of New Jersey, criminally charged. But are the Democrats kicking him out? Are they removing him? Nope, he's still sitting there. The Democrats play politics dirty. The Republicans don't play that clean either. They're not Miss Purity sitting over there on their side. They play some dirty politics too. But they're 3 or 4 steps behind the Democrats constantly. Constantly. Part of the reason because the liberal bias in the media protects the Democrats. Remember, it's only a scandal if the media says it's a scandal. That's why Obama was no drama Obama. He was able to say he didn't have any major scandals because, well, the media decided that nothing that happened during his administration would be a scandal. The media doesn't see anything wrong with this trial of Trump. Therefore, there's no scandal about this trial with Trump. There's no scandal with the bias of everybody on the government side in this trial, from the judge to the prosecutors to the instructions given. Since the media likes it, there's no scandal. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, Duck Dog, the guy that had the gold bar sewn into his suit. You're exactly right, Tyre. The Democrats don't care about what happens tomorrow as long as they get their way today. Because every day that they push this shit forward and they get their way one more way, they know it's that much harder to move that bar back a notch. Every time they move something a notch further to the left, it's a victory. Because it's that much harder to move, it makes it that much harder to move that notch back towards the right or towards the center. So, and that's what they're doing. They're moving us closer. They've been doing it now for 100 years, moving us closer and closer and closer to socialism, moving us closer and closer to communism with the willing participation of the media. And again, we'll go back to what it is. It started off in our colleges. First, it was just a few college professors who were to the left. And anytime anybody tried to say anything, how dare you try to shut us down? Our free speech, our First Amendment right. We got the right to say this. And they did. So that bar, that notch, got moved to the right, or to the left, rather. But now you get, I mean, uh, uh, crap. The Daily Caller guy, the 5'4" Jew. He gets he goes to show up on campus, and the campus is the campus of free speech bans him from. If he steps foot on campus property, he's going to be arrested. Ben Shapiro, thank you. He steps 1 foot on campus. They got the cops there standing on the edge of campus property, waiting for him to put 1 foot on that campus so they can arrest him. No free speech for that guy. And Ben Shapiro is hardly a right wing demagogue. He's no Ann Coulter. He's not me. He's not even a ranting monkey. But he was too far right to go on that college campus. Look at when Milo was going out there to Berkeley. They protested so hard they damn near burnt the school down. So yeah, free speech only worked one way. The First Amendment on these college campuses only works one way. And now it's getting that way in the high school. How dare you wear a shirt with the American flag on it on Cinco de Mayo, on the 5th of May? That day belongs to the Mexicans. How dare you chant USA or wear an American flag? That was upheld by the courts. Your First Amendment right to wear an American flag on your shirt. You don't have it. Because that is the day to celebrate a Mexican holiday in America. Look at the way. Could you imagine protest groups going in and protesting black students getting away with it? Like these protest groups going in at the colleges and protesting Jewish students. Never happened. That would never happen. The media would not support that one bit. The Democrats would not support that one bit. But because it's Jewish students, they've got no problem supporting this nonsense. Oh, well. All right. Before I get into this next stuff that I want to talk about here. Hey, Digi, good morning. Exactly, Tyre. 4th of July is it. It's like the, damn, you know, Ilhan Omar and the other stupid wench, anti American wench in the House, on releasing their Memorial Day tweets. on their official government Twitter account, and then taking them down because they don't know the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. They don't know the simple difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And that's something else, guys. Remember when Trump was in office and he tried to ban people from his account, his Twitter account. And the courts ruled that he couldn't do it because that was an official account of the presidency. He couldn't ban people from it. Why are so Twitter? If you have a Twitter account and it's your official account, right? Remember AOC got in trouble for trying to ban people from her account. It is illegal to destroy official records. It's illegal. We all know that. It's illegal to destroy official records. Should it not also, since your Twitter account, your official office Twitter account, shouldn't it be illegal to delete tweets that you've made? Think about it. This illegal, if that is, the courts have ruled that is your official account and you can't ban people from your official account. Shouldn't it be illegal for you to delete tweets that you've made? I have to, Gretro, I do agree with you. I, the that Happy Memorial Day has always gotten me, at least for the past 40 years. Almost 50 years. But anyway, I did something before I get into this next one, guys. I want a little something off the wall here. Okay. Last night, the wife and I were going to, it was already programmed. You know, I planned out my meals a week in advance. It was already planned out. I was going to uh, have spaghetti for dinner last night. Well, I had some leftover smoked barbecued pork in the refrigerator. Not a lot, about 15 pieces. Barbecue sauce. So I decided that I was going to add that barbecue sauce and pork to my marinara sauce. I tasted it, and the flavors were fighting a little bit between the barbecue and the marinara. Fighting a little bit. So I added a little brown sugar. Actually, I added a lot of brown sugar to it. And that made the two flavors, it made all those flavors and stuff fighting with each other. It actually, made it a little bit more cohesive. Put on low heat for about 4 hours on the stove, and Had that smoky pork pieces in there. And I tell you, that was really good sauce. Well, since we were having spaghetti, gotta have garlic bread. And I had some ciabatta buns. So I split those in half, toasted them up. But I'd already, you got to have garlic toast, garlic bread to go with your. And I had some garlic sitting there and some unsalted butter. And using the miniature crock pot that Duck Dog convinced me to buy, suggested I buy and use. Italian seasoning, garlic, butter. Made me up a bunch of garlic butter. But put some mozzarella cheese. After I got the ciabatta rolls the way I liked them, I put some mozzarella cheese across the top of it and let that melt down. Then I've added some more garlic butter across the top of that and let that go down through, and then added more and more and more. I mean, you couldn't take a bite of those ciabatta rolls without getting garlic in it. There was no plain bread, plain toast there. Well, I had a few tablespoons, 4 or 5 tablespoons of that garlic butter left over. When I drained my spaghetti noodles, it's like, now this wasn't enough for me to put in the refrigerator to keep. So after I drained my spaghetti, I poured the garlic butter in on top of the noodles and mixed them all up nice and good. Did that in the pot. Now, the wife, she only likes garlic if it's on toast. She doesn't like, she's not a big fan of garlic. But I've got to tell, even she liked that dinner last night. Had the garlic in on the pasta, had the garlic in on the toast, marinara sauce mixed with barbecue sauce, with smoky pork, uh, ends off of ribs, off of a slab of ribs. You have those real meaty sections there at the end. That was a great dinner last night. Caesar salad, that spaghetti, the ciabatta roll with mozzarella toasted up with garlic butter and mozzarella cheese melted down across it. I will. That is going. That I may not always have the barbecue ribs laying around, but I found a new way. I found the way I'm going to start making my spaghetti. I will put that garlic butter in on the pasta after it's cooked. Oh man, I have never messed with truffle oils. I've never messed with truffle oils, Duck Dog. Gotta be honest there. But black garlic, ooh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. Okay, let's see here. I get man screwed myself up. All right, here's a familiar sight. We all know. what this is. That is a New York City Police Department official vehicle. We've seen them around forever. We're used to seeing those. See them in movies, see them in television shows. If you visit New York, you see them. You know, they're sort of iconic. Well, if you live in New York, you're going to start seeing these. The Muslim Community Patrol. Their cars are painted to look identical to the New York City Patrol, Police Patrol. But you're going to start seeing these. They are going to be out there patrolling the streets of New York City. And why are the Muslim patrols going to be out there? To help the Muslim community. To help the Muslim community in New York. Now, we have a much larger religious community in New York. We got the Jewish community. And while I don't agree with it, I don't believe that any religious community should be able to have their religious tenets override our laws. There's been made exceptions now for decades for the Jewish community in New York. And those same exceptions are now being demanded and made for the Muslim community in New York. You know, we surrendered Dearborn, Michigan to them a long time ago, over a decade ago. But it looks like we're getting ready to surrender New York City to them. Now, this video that I'm about here, this is from 11 years ago with the Muslim community patrols in the UK.
Whitechapel in East London. A hardline vigilante group is trying to impose Sharia law on unsuspecting members of the public.
Muslim area, okay? Alcohol, bad. This is a Muslim area.
It's not just drinkers being targeted.
Yeah, you're gay, mate. Get out of here, mate. Get out of here, you fag.
And women wearing skirts above the knee are also being harassed.
To not dress like that in Muslim area.
Only a handful of men are involved in the self-styled patrols. 5 have been arrested on suspicion of harassment, but we joined others who haven't been picked up by the police. These men claim they're simply tackling drunken behaviour where alcohol's already banned from the streets, but they do share many of the same hardline beliefs as those arrested.
Alcohol is causing so much problems in the area. In fact, it's blighting the area. It causes crime. It causes people misbehaving. And
oh yeah, it's not just because their religion bans alcohol. No. They're doing this to help stomp out crime.
Drunken and disorderly behavior.
Would you condemn then the more intimidating patrols where they seem to be trying to impose Sharia law in a part of London?
I'm not here to condemn or condone anyone's action. What I'm here to say is that there's a problem.
Those doing these patrols are reveling in the media spotlight, but actually the number of people involved is very, very small. The vast majority of Muslim people living in this part of East London want nothing to do with vigilantes whatsoever.
New York has already given up their streets to the Muslim prayer groups. That's happened in London years ago. Well, now it's happening in the United States, in New York.
At the local mosque, Muslim leaders are appalled and have condemned the patrols, which they say are stirring up hatred.
And it's done a huge amount of damage to the Muslim community, and it's no doubt going to increase.
Yeah, remember, the Muslim part of the Muslim faith teaches them that they can lie to non-Muslims. They can lie to us, to anybody who's not a Muslim. They just can't lie to each other. So this is what we've got, what we're looking forward to. In New York. But see, it's not just London that's had this problem. This is a video from 6 years ago.
Back to 60 Minutes. I've just returned from Sweden, where something happened that I never would have imagined in such a wonderful country.
And it's going to happen here. It's happened here in cities like Dearborn.
My crew and I were attacked. We had things thrown at us. We were punched and kicked, and my cameraman was run over. Unfortunately, Sweden has become a victim of its own humanity. By opening its doors and welcoming hundreds of thousands of refugees and asylum seekers from the world's war zones and trouble spots, the country is experiencing serious security issues. And
gee whiz, over the last 3 years, what are they estimating? 10 million illegals have crossed our borders, that they got no clue where in the hell they're at. And not just Muslims, not just Hispanics, Mexicans, people from South America or the Caribbean, but from China, Pakistan, India. Now, y'all know I work with Indians. And I count this family, the people that own the hotel I work at, they're closer to me as a family than my own brother is. But I've got a serious problem here with the number of illegals that have come into our country. And it's the numbers that are terrifying.
it's not alone. The migrant crisis has now become so huge, many Western European nations are closing their borders. But that hasn't stopped the refugees coming.
This video is 6 years old. Think about it. 6 years ago.
In their desperate millions. If Greece has carried more than its share of the burden, so too has Sweden. A nation with less than half the population of Australia took in 165,000 refugees last year alone. is starting to buckle under the pressure. This is a country that's barely coping. Only 6 months ago, Sweden was proudly proclaiming itself the humanitarian superpower of the world. Now it's closing its borders to refugees without identity papers. And its neighbours are being even tougher. Denmark is stripping asylum seekers of valuables to help pay for their upkeep, confiscating cash and jewellery, basically everything except wedding rings. The message couldn't be clearer. Please.
I'm skipping
For
forward
all
here.
its generosity, Sweden is now grappling with communities of disaffected migrants who can't find jobs and have few prospects.
Look like New York City. Here now. This is 6 years ago in Sweden. Why haven't we learned by what happened years ago in these European countries and looking for what's going for as a future for our own if we continue allowing all these refugees and illegal immigration into our own country? We can see what happened in these other countries that opened their borders. We can see it. We watched it happen. And yet, our own politicians and our media, and again, remember, this still boils down to the biases and what the media want. Because people don't learn. People don't know what's happening unless the media tells them. Most of the, and you know, you've got your diehard leftists, just like you have your diehard right. That only want to know what they want to know. Quite unlike us. And I will be honest, you know, the 8, 9 of us that get together on this stream, y'all may not agree with me. I know y'all don't agree with me on everything I say because I screwed up the other day with something I said. And yeah, let me go ahead, you know, get my mind while I'm thinking about it. When I was looking at the arrest records or the subpoena, the warrant there for Nick Ricotta, I said some pretty stupid shit. I hadn't put my working brain cells to get together on that the other day. Now, I'm not apologizing for it because I said it. I was wrong in what I said. I'm admitting that. But I mean, that's all I can do all I can do is admit I was wrong in what I said. Apology, and that's something. Oh, I'm so sorry I said that. I apologize for saying it. The apology doesn't mean squat. Admit you were wrong and go on. And that's what I'm doing. I'm admitting I was wrong in some of the things I said the other day. I should have put a little more thought into it. That's what happens when you let your mouth override your brain. But yeah, we've got to learn. We got to see what's been going on. Got to open up our eyes to see what's happening out here. and admit when we're wrong and press on. And right now, the left has got to admit that they've been wrong in allowing all these illegals come into our country. All this mass immigration. And I honestly say, and this I've thought about, and this I absolutely mean. We need to shut our borders. We need to go into isolationism for at least a decade. We really do. We need to start deporting people. We need to start rejecting visas. We need to start taking visas that have been issued and say, we're jerking your visa and we're sending you back to where you're from. It's not going to happen quickly, but that's why I'm saying we need to shut our borders for at least a decade here. And all these goon squads that they're sending out there to collect taxes and everything else, their sole purpose in life should be out gathering up illegals and people who cross the border illegally, people who've overstayed their visas, and deport them. We need to start passing some laws about who, government services, taxpayer funded services. And who can get them. We need to change the law about the census and the apportionment portion of it. And the apportionment for the House of Representatives and thus the Electoral College is based solely upon U.S. citizens. We need to get serious about this if we even have a hope of retaining our country. And I don't give a damn what color your skin is or where you were born or who you want to sleep with, as long as it's a consenting adult. I don't care. Find your own way to hell or heaven. As long as you're in this country legally, and as long as this is the country that you support. But we have got to make these changes, and we've got to make these changes to our laws and to the mindset of our people if we want to have a country who's still here in 50 years. I won't be here in 50 years. That would put me 104 years old. I won't be here. But my son will only be 80. My grandson will be 55. My great-grandchildren will be in their 30s with children of their own. I want them to have a damned country. I want them to have a country to be proud of. I want them to have the country that we had. Now, was it all perfect? No. But it's a damn sight better than every other country on this planet. And that's why we have so much problem with people coming in our country illegally. I saw a report that last year, again, I didn't have it locked up, official government records, so we can sort of take this with a grain of salt. That our government spent $66 billion dealing with illegal immigration. Funding illegals, funding them, food, housing, clothing, cell phones, televisions, radios, etc., etc., etc. But at the same time, they spent less than $6 billion on wounded American veterans. American veterans who've lost their limbs, who lost their minds. I've met a couple American Army vets that these boys aren't there all, they're not all there anymore. I don't know what they saw when they were over there playing in the sandbox. I have no idea what they saw. I just know that they're not the same person that they were when they went over. And they can't get the treatment that they need, or they need more treatment than what they're getting. This stuff, I mean, 66 billion, and I'm hoping, if that number is right, that's astronomical. $66 billion on illegals, funding illegals' lives in this country. And then we got this, we've got the Biden administration. We got an election coming up here in a couple of months. And we got the Biden administration telling that every one of the people that work under the executive branch, everybody that works under the executive branch, not just the people in Washington, D.C., but the ones in your state, the ones in your city, all these government agencies, are supposed to help with voting. How many illegals are going to vote? I mean, besides the fact that some cities and some states allow illegals to vote in quote unquote local elections, but how many of those same illegals are going to vote in the federal election this year? They're going to be accidentally given federal ballots, not just local ballots. We're going to hear the same thing over and over again. Most secure election ever. We're going to hear that from the media. We're going to hear that from the Democrats. We're even going to hear it from some Republicans. But people like me and others who are concerned about the actual security, knowing what we know about what happened in other elections in the past, that these elections aren't all fair and square. We know that. We know that there's been serious issues with elections in the past. And some of these issues are coming to light now. Years and years and years too late. Oh, well, yeah. Well, yeah, there was a problem, but we're going to fix it now. Yeah, but that problem, the people that were elected in that election that shouldn't have been elected, they've been in the office now, and you can't go back and undo all the damage that they did. It's too late to undo the damage that they did to our country, to our cities, to our states. That's what I don't think people realize. I really don't think people realize how much damage can be done to the country on a city by city or state by state basis. And these idiots that want to change the get rid of the electoral college, they don't understand the damage that will precipitate a civil war. Precipitate. That will be the fundamental starting point to a civil war in the country, is getting rid of the electoral college. Because first of all, what that would mean is that at least 24 of the states would be ignored during election season. And the money would go into the two coasts, East and West Coast, and a few targeted cities between the two, because that's where the population centers are. But the farmland countries, the farmland states would be ignored because there's not enough people there to sway the vote. But the people who feed the country, the people who supply the ore that is used to build the cities, the people that supply the fabrics that are used for clothing, the stuff that is used to give us power, they're all going to be ignored. Remember what happened in California when the farmers were being ignored over the water usage? Because the cities needed the water for drinking, and the farmers just needed it for raising crops. Well, farmers don't really need it because we need it for drinking and bathing in the cities. Then all of a sudden the crops stopped coming in, because the farmers didn't have the water that they needed to grow the crops. And when people get ignored during elections, they get mad. When their voices aren't heard, they get mad. And what's the farmer going to do with his food if he's mad at the people that want to buy it from him? He's either not going to sell it to them, or he's going to jack the prices up so high that they can barely afford to buy it. No, this isn't good. Getting rid of the Electoral College is not good. I heard one commentator the other day saying that the American empire, and I've never thought of us as being an American empire, but I understand where he was coming from. The American empire, like the Roman Empire and the Italian Empire and the Greek Empire, all the other great empires of history, is now on the downward trend. The English Empire, the British Empire, however you want to call that, is now collapsing. And I thought about that for a little bit, and I had to agree. I had to agree with them. And why is it collapsing? Because we've destroyed it ourselves by infusing communism and socialism into our system, by bringing in people into our country that don't like our country. As Obama said, he'd want to fundamentally change our country. And we gave them the power. We gave them power to change our country. Oh, we've got to accept these people. We have to accept them. We have to let them in. And then we have to give them the same rights as everybody else has. But they're not coming to our country because they love our country. That's not why they're coming here. They're coming here to steal from our country. Look how much of our money goes to Mexico and South American countries every year. Our dollars being sent across the border. Okay, Tyre. The empire long unite must divide. The empire long divide must unite. You're right about that too, Retro. That's what destroy the middle class, because the middle class ran this country for decades. Yeah, you always had the Rockefellers and the those rich people. We've always had that upper crust that had a lot of money and got their way in a lot of ways. But it was still the middle class. That ran the country for a lot of it. Okay, Digi, you have a good day. All right. Don't let them beat you up too bad out there on the streets. Give me just a second here, guys. You don't want to hear me hear this. All right. But anyway, I pray that we get some common sense back to our country. Well, that's one of the reasons, and I'm full circle here. That's one of the reasons why I think Trump has been so, even though he's one of the billionaires of the country, But I think that's one of the reasons why so many people are so enamored with him. Is he hasn't forgotten, he was never part of the middle class. He was never part of the middle class. He grew up rich. But he seems to have a lot of middle class values. He's a man. I mean, he's a yeah. He slept around on all. He's cheated on every wife he's had. Okay, the man let his dick do his thinking for him when it comes to that. Okay, but he was rich, and these women wanted to sleep with him because he was rich. They wanted to get something out of him. When he was younger, he was a fairly good-looking man. But he had money, and that's what a lot of these women wanted from him. And they knew they could get it by giving up the sex. They knew they could get what they wanted from him by giving him what he wanted. And he let his dick do the talking for him. So, I mean, that's nothing to emulate. That's nothing to be, to look what a great man he was. He's cheated on all his wives. But of all the politicians running for president since Reagan, I would say that Trump's got the greatest love for this country of any politician running for most offices, any federal office since Reagan. He wears his love of this country on his sleeve. Uh, the left, and why the left hates him so much, I don't know. He was pro-gay marriage before Obama was, before the Clintons were. He was pro-gay marriage before it was the popular thing for politicians to do. But he's not a communist. He's not a socialist. He's not a Marxist. And when it boils right down to it, they want that more than they want anything else in a politician. And once again, you know, we got to look to our media and who we put our trust in and into telling us what's going on out there in the world. All right, Reagan Democrat. Okay, I can go with that there, Retro. I was lucky growing up and going into the military during Reagan's terms in office. I was lucky. I got to see. I joined under Carter and got to see what was going on under Carter, and then what went on under Reagan. And I could tell the difference. I mean, I actually saw the difference in our commanders between the two administrations. Retro, you're probably the same way. You can't. You were active duty under both Carter and Reagan, weren't you? Could you see that if you were? Could you see the difference in your command and the actions of your commanders between the two? Oh, you missed that? Okay. I keep thinking you're my age. When Bill Clinton came to a base that I was at, they shut the base down. They sent everybody home because they didn't want anybody out there on the base when Clinton landed. And I was one of the few that couldn't get off base before his plane landed. And we were locked in our buildings. We were ordered to stay within our buildings until he left the base. He got in his motorcade until he got into his motorcade and the motorcade left the base. Then we could leave. I heard later from one of the sky cops that once Air Force One landed, they had to turn in all their ammunition before Air Force One landed. And they didn't get it back until after his motorcade left. Then when his motorcade came back, same thing. The base was shut down. The sky cops had to turn in all their ammunition. You weren't allowed to go out and get on the side of this road the way there to see the commander in chief drive by. Think how insulting that is. Active duty military told that they weren't allowed to see the commander in chief. That is why I do not have my retirement paperwork signed and on display. I did not know this until a few years ago, and I probably ought to do it. But I can request to have G.W. Bush sign my certificate of retirement. Hell, I can request to have Trump sign it. I didn't know I could do that. That's what I ought to do. I ought to see how to request the ways of getting Trump to sign my retirement paperwork, my certificate of retirement. You're exactly right, Retro. You're exactly right. Okay, one of the most disgusting things I've seen here under I've gotten onto TikTok and I've been spending a lot of time here perusing through it, especially the military side of it. The other day, I watched a man do a live stream in uniform putting on makeup, wearing a women's uniform. This was a man with a mustache putting on makeup while wearing a woman's uniform. I was absolutely disgusted. I mean, I still have a hard time seeing people in uniform on, getting on the internet in uniform and talking, expressing political opinions and such. And of course, they say, now remember, I am not representing the United States Army or the United States government. Yeah, these opinions are mine and mine alone, yada, yada, yada. They're still saying that. But 1996 or 97, when I first started getting online on a regular basis, I went to the legal office on base. I was still active duty. And I went to the legal office and I asked them how I could do this without getting myself in any trouble. And they did the research and got back with me. And they said the best way to do it so that you can't get in trouble is one, never say that you're active duty. Never bring up the fact you're military. And if you do somehow let that slip that you're military, don't tell them what branch of the service you're in or what base you're at. Don't talk about your job, regardless of what your job is. Don't say nothing about what you do. And, keep all that. Keep your military life, in fact, that part a secret that you're even active duty military. Rakita paid $50K so he wouldn't have condoms on his release. No drug testing. I'm not getting that about condoms. Oh, conditions. No drug testing? Oh, man. Another thing that's getting hard for me to see, to understand, uh, in the Air Force, a woman's hair could not be any thicker than 3 inches. So she had her hair in a bun on the back of her head. And you put a ruler up next against it, it couldn't be more than 3 inches thick. Hair couldn't, like men's hair, couldn't touch the base of her collar, yada, yada, yada. Now these girls are going into work with ponytails in uniform. Now, I once held the very unpopular opinion that if women want in the military, there should only be one dress code. Only one. Applied to males and females alike. Particularly when it came to their hair. Because I could see no, and I still can't see any logical reason why men's hair should be any different than women's hair, or vice versa. If there is a reason that men's hair had to be cut such and such, in such and such a fashion, oh wow, retro. But if there is a reason why men's hair has to be cut in such and such a fashion, then there's that same reason should have to be applied to women, and they have to have their hair cut specifically. Now, this is before man buns was ever a thing. So, but yeah, my female first shirt and I had several interesting discussions over what was AFR 3510 and how it was applied to male and female. But this same female first sergeant also tried to tell me as an E6 that I had to go out and mow the lawn because the E3 female shouldn't be mowing the lawn because she's a female and that's not women's work to mow the lawn. Her and I had a real tussle over that one. Yeah. She wanted two of us E6s to go out and mow. We had an E2 and an E3 females out mowing the lawn and trimming the hedges. And she came in and wanted to know why are the girls out there doing the yard work? Because it needs to be done. Why aren't you two out there doing it? We both looked down at the stripes on our sleeves. And she goes, that's men's work out there, not women's work. Excuse me? No, that's airmen's work, not NCO's work. The other E6 and I almost said the exact same thing at the exact same time. To this she was an E8, I believe. She went E9. So she was an E8. But yeah. Oh. Saw the handwriting on the walls back then. But anyway, guys, I need to go pop another pain pill here real quick. And I may, like I said, enhance that with a shot of Japanese whiskey. But y'all have a good day. Today was really, like I said, this was an old man yelling at the sky type thing today. Because I'm pissed off about this trial and the way this judge has handled the jury instructions. And I know I kept my paws off of it pretty much for the entire trial. I've said very little about it, and I did that on purpose. But when I saw those jury instructions, I about lost it. And then then I also saw those Muslim community patrol vehicles in New York, and they're being officially sanctioned by the city. That, I mean, just automatically drew me back to what was going on in Sweden and in London 10 years ago. We saw what was happening then and how it turned out. Why in the hell are we letting it happen here now? London, London is a minority white city now. It is almost entirely ran by Muslims. Think about it. That's the road we're heading down right now. So this is me being me today, guys. I needed to be that guy today. No fun. Sorry. The most fun you got out of me is me realizing that garlic butter on spaghetti was something to do. So y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Try to stay out of trouble. If you're going to get in trouble, have as much fun getting out of it as you did get in it. Let's see. Today, what is today? Today's Thursday. So tomorrow, Friday fun stream. No politics allowed. All right, Ramen. We'll see you tomorrow morning. So if you get a set nearby patrol, no, I thought you needed 3 other witnesses there, Ramen, not 2. You have to have 3. All right. Hey, Ramen, why don't you? I sent you a link. Join up here real quick, okay? So, but anyway, we'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a good day.